All right, it looks like we are now live.
Cool.
So I'm going to let a few people kind of just chime in. I want to, since we didn't really promote so much of it, we'll see who decides to like chime in. Yeah, but we'll just, like I said, we'll go over what we just talked about.
Okay, cool.
Man, so how you been, bro?
And everything's good. Can't complain. Like I said, the coaching is keeping me busy. I'm back in the gym. I'm on and off in the gym since January or February, but I'm taking it easy ever since the back surgery. It was a bit more of a setback than I intended it to be.
So when did that happen?
Dude, it was weird because in June, like I started training in May, and I thought I was going to compete in the Friggino Classic. And early June, I started getting just weird back pains. It wasn't nothing bad, just felt tight. And every day it got bad. So I'm like, let me just stop training. So I stopped training in June. And it got worse. July came. By mid-July, I couldn't get out of my bed. I mean, every little movement, like I would scream from the nerve shocks. My girlfriend had to pick me up off the floor, try to at least. It was really bad. I couldn't move without taking painkillers. And then as soon as I went to the doctor, he goes, And I was in surgery 3 days later after the MRI.
Wow.
And it wasn't even
That's
from
insane.
anything direct. I think it was just years of just breaking down my body and also being in and out of the gym from the last few years.
Right.
So all the supporting muscles gave out, and I started going full-time with the coaching in March, and I was working for my dad doing concrete before that. So I guess just being sedentary and, have all the support given out, and that was it. It was just like, screw you,
Damn, that's crazy, man. So let's do a brief introduction, guys. So explain who you are, how long you've been involved in bodybuilding. Just give a little quick bio.
So I'm Dominick Cardone. I'm an IFBB pro. I turned pro 2014. I was 21 years old. I won the heavyweight class at the Nationals. I did quite a few shows. I competed when I was 16 at my first show. I won the teen class there at the Metropolitan. Did the Eastern USA here in New York. I won the teen class there. The novice, I placed top 5 in the light heavyweight, actually with 2 other pros. And then at the teen nationals in 2012, I won the heavyweight class there and lost the overall to Cody Montgomery. And then I did the Easterns 2014, won the overall there with no intentions of going to nationals. And then I went to nationals 2 weeks later and I won my class. And that was really it. It just, I didn't plan to go to nationals until I was like 25, 26. I was like, let me just do it for fun. I remember I backstage and just stopped pumping up. I was like, whatever, I'm not going to win. I'm not even going to place top 5. I'm just going to have fun. And I wound up winning. But,
I remember that show, dude. I was actually there. I was bullshitting that year. But
that's right. You were there. Yes, that's right. That's right. I remember seeing you at the weigh-in.
Yeah. I was like, decided to compete in Natty.
Were you a super heavyweight that show or a heavyweight?
No, I was heavyweight, dude.
That's right. Yeah, it was good. You were natural because I would have lost. So.
No, that was a good show, man. You look fucking crazy, bro. Legs. I mean, I remember telling you backstage, I was like, dude, you're gonna win. And then just I remember the energy you had on stage, dude. Like, it's fucking nuts, man.
Yeah, I was high. I felt high on life that day. Once they put me in that first call, I didn't expect to get first call out. I love telling the story. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but a lot of people didn't hear it. But I remember being backstage pumping up in between Alexis Malone, and what's his name? He plays second in the super heavyweights, Michael Lockett. And I remember looking, and I'm looking at the arms, and I'm looking at me. I'm like, I just stopped pumping up. I'm just standing there, seeing John Meadows walks in. He goes and pulls his pants down the corner. I see his hamstrings. Like, wow, I don't have a shot here. So I just stopped pumping up. I was last in line. I just went up. And then I remember first call out, they called my number 182. I'll never forget my number either. And that was it. The fire got lit under my ass straight to the middle. And it was on from there. And they had me from second at prejudging. And it was between me and Alan Cool. And I remember seeing him in the elevator on the way to finals. And he just looked dead. He put his head back. He's like, are you dead too? I'm like, yeah, I'm dead. And I got out of the elevator. I knew it. I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be good. And I just I feel it every time I talk about it. It feels like, the first time talking about it. But, yeah, and I wound up winning.
It's nice. It's good to hear. And it's good to have seen it. Like I said, I was there to witness it all, man. It was amazing.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, like I said, thank God you weren't 100% there because you would have won the whole show. You were on everybody's radar.
Man, yeah, it was just fun. It was fun to just show up and just bullshit. But I was like, all right, this is stupid. Let me come back the next time and actually give myself a real shot here. But so when was the last time you competed?
the last time I forgot about that because it's like totally out of my head. Was a 2016 New York Pro. That was my pro debut. It was the only pro show I did. And pretty much, I gotta stop saying I haven't filmed in a while. And pretty much that, I remember in the off season, I got up to 275. I was working with Chris Aceto, and I was training in the gym with Oscar. And I was ready to almost compete at 6-7 weeks out. I was 249. I was 2 weeks away from being ready. And I was basing the pictures, and I never talk about myself. I was huge. My legs were massive. My back came up. My arms are great. My chest are great. I actually had abs because I was training them. And I was going to be around 235 on stage, we predicted, maybe even 240 because my weight was going up at that point. And then I remember the morning I just looked insane. Got a text from my dad. My mom went into a coma. And then I finished off the prep with that. Basically lived in the hospital for 3.5 weeks because we wouldn't want to leave her alone. Trained in the city, ran home to feed my dogs, rotated with my dad. I would stay up for 35 hours at a time in the room. And then she passed away May 3rd. And then I competed 2 weeks later. And then it was just a disaster. Actually, the day after the show, I was 206 after eating and drinking water.
206.
Yeah, my body was everything just got. I turned pro at 223, and everything just got sucked out of me from living in the hospital, not sleeping.
So the all the stress and stuff.
Oh, big time. And then the diuretics were just insane. I don't blame Chris because my body was just a total mess from truly being stressed and everything going on and not sleeping.
Right.
So he didn't know which way was up and which way was down. But yeah, 206 a day after the show. I should have did 212 class, but he wouldn't let me weigh myself.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
and that was the one and only pro show you did.
That was the one and only, yeah. Because after that, everything sort of started setting in, and life went on a quick downward spiral. And then, December 2016, I started picking myself up, and ever since then, I've been putting myself back together, and hanging whatever family I have left, I hang around with them, and my girlfriend, and just enjoying life, and mainly just making sure my life is set. The coaching is full time, and looking into other business opportunities, and mainly just enjoying life because that was like a big wake up call around. But I'm not done competing. I'm still shooting to do something possibly end of the year if my body would catch up. I'm in no rush though. I'm still 25.
Yeah. So that was the next question I was going to ask you was what was the plan for competing? Because I remember you and Michael had like made this post, and then after that it was just like I hadn't heard much of anything from either one of you guys.
Yeah, so we actually started that in January. We're going to do the comeback series. And, dude, we filmed like 9 of them. 3 of them were posted. The problem was the rest of them that were filmed, the videographer, I guess, got way too busy. He was awesome. And then he moved to Florida, and then we just pulled the plug on it. And then the last few weeks, I've just been in and out of the gym because my back started to bother me. At least I thought it started to bother me. So just taking it easy. But I'm still shooting to try to do some end of the year. Now I'm starting to pick up the pace a little more. I'm eating around the clock. I'm more regimented in my days. I'm sleeping more. Now they have some sort of organization to my day. If I could get my legs back up because my body always shrinks. My legs always stayed. But because the nerves are so crushed and not training legs for so long, it's just straight down. So, but everything's good now with the back. And hopefully, once my legs back, show me some sort of life, then I'll pull the trigger and then just do something. And my goal isn't to be Mr. Olympia anymore. My goal isn't to win Arnold Classics anymore. My main goal is honestly my clients. And people always say, what you go with? Like I was asked a question, what you go with your clients? It's not money. Money's a side effect of it. I truly do love helping people. My goal isn't to just help competitors. I love helping people change their lives, with changing their eating habits, their health, sticking around longer for their family. So that's truly my main purpose in this industry now is my clients and helping people. When I compete, it's going to be for myself because 1, I never got to do the routine that I was supposed to do for my mom. And then 2, I have to redeem myself. So, and then whatever comes after that, I'm just going with the flow. I'm not forcing anything. Like I say, I enjoy spending time with my family and my work is number 1, but it's coming. I'm not done. I still have it in me. It's just time getting everything brewing.
Nice. Yeah, man. Because I was always wondering when you'd finally get back on stage, man. Because, I've always been a big fan of your physique. So just to let you know, man.
You're always very supportive.
Yeah, just to let you know, brother. So I was definitely curious. So when did you start coaching, and like when did all of this just start taking off for you, man? Because you're like definitely one of the best coaches in the industry.
Coming from you, that means a lot because you're a big figure in the industry. Well, pretty much I started coaching when I was 16, and I wasn't really coaching. My dad the day after my first show, he said, "Can you make a diet for me? I want to put on muscle tissue." And he wasn't training or anything. And I said, "Sure." 2 weeks later, he goes, "All right, I want to try to put some more muscle on." Okay. 2 weeks later, he goes, "I want to try to compete." I'm like, okay. But the deal was, he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I can tell you one day you're going to be a really good coach," like Factory, who was my first coach. He goes, "I want you to experiment on me. Just don't kill me." And yeah, that was how it all started. Ever since then, people would always, for a few years, I did it for free. People would come to me and I learned, and I always buried myself in nutrition books, reading online. It was always just a side thing. And then 2017, September, I realized, what am I doing with myself? Doing concrete. It's not what I want to do. Competing is not a priority, can't be a priority. It's not going to pay my bills and my future family's bills. So what am I doing? So Joe Binley, the owner AD, he's like, "Dom," he goes, "You're so talented at coaching. Why don't you try to make a full-time thing?" So I did. And it went way beyond a level that I ever expected it to be. I stopped doing concrete March of last year. And it's been a full-time job since then. Thank God.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I mean, but it just shows, dude. It's like when you have that passion, like you mentioned, because like seriously, man, it's the same thing with me with my coaching. I was just talking to my friend, business partner over here about this earlier today. It's like, dude, I just love to help people out. I love to just motivate the hell out of them. Whether it be like just someone looking to lose weight, or if they're looking to compete and just better themselves in whatever way possible. Like that to me is just the best part about coaching people. And like you said, the money is like a side effect. It's just the good thing that comes with it, right? It's a tool. But yeah, because to be honest, man, if I didn't have to charge anybody, dude, I wouldn't charge anybody anything. I would literally coach for free. But the fact, obviously, we have to live and be able to sustain ourselves. So,
it's
yeah,
true.
man.
It's true. So, you've always been that way. So that's why I was respected about you.
Man, I appreciate it, brother. So tell me, man, I have to ask. So who are some of the, I noticed that you're working with Joe Mackey now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing the New York Pro.
Yep.
And who else do you have on the team?
I have Paige Haberniel. She's doing the bikini class of the New York Pro. Who else do I have? Pros, I believe that is it. But I also have Ross Flanagan, which everybody's seen last year. He placed second at North Americans. He'll be doing nationals this year. I have Jeff Hallenbeck, who placed third at the middleweights, and he could have placed top 5 at the Classic at the North Americans. He'll be doing the USAs. Who else do I have in the back burner here? Jeff, Ross, Nick Whiteman. He's definitely somebody to look out for at nationals this year. He has incredible potential. Who else do we have? Anthony Spencer. He placed second at the Arnold Amateur. He'll be doing the USAs, except at the Arnold Amateur, he was a super heavy, and that was the first show working together, and I didn't know how much I could suck him down. But this show, he'll definitely be a heavyweight, and he is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he just stayed the whole time, the whole same weight from when we started in September to when he competed. So it's a little bit of a challenge now, because now the goal is, all right, suck down to heavyweights, but is it going to happen? That's all like I remember off the top of my head. And like I said, I work with pretty much everybody, competitors, non-competitors, older women and men, anybody looking to change around their lifestyle, anybody who wants to look good in bed with their wife, anybody who wants to look good on the beach, so.
So let me ask you this, man. What's your style when it comes to like nutrition? How do you normally handle your clients?
Yeah, so I get asked that question a lot, and I don't really have a style. I don't even like, if somebody inquires with me, like, what's your strategy? I don't have one. It's just, I look at the pictures, I gather your information, and whatever comes to mind, I put to paper. I could do keto with some people, maybe. I could do carb cycling. I could do low carb. I could do high carb. There is no set way of doing anything. And that's with anything in bodybuilding too. You can't go by a book with bodybuilding, as you know. There's way too many ways to skin a cat. So there really is no strategy, no style. It's whatever I see in that moment, I do. And like I said, the body changes so much. Your body adapts. It can fight against you. It's just whatever comes to mind. Hey, I may have to have you go eat a burger and fries 2 weeks out just because we need to spike things a little more. You need to do things a little unorthodox, as people would normally, think. There really is no strategy. It's just, I've always studied nutrition ever since I was 16. Either be reading books, asking the higher up coaches questions, studying online. So it's just all compiled together. I don't want to have one set strategy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I like that answer. I feel like I'm the same way. Like when it comes to each individual client, is pretty much like it just is, right? So yeah, I've
Mhm.
had some clients that I've ran through using keto. It's very minimal. I don't really
Mhm.
tend to. I really like to use that.
Me too.
But it was just with that particular person, man. She was just so freaking scared of carbs. It was actually it was just ridiculous. So it was like, all right, I guess I have to find some way to be able to get some calories in you, so we can use some version of keto essentially.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I tend to, like I'll do. I guess what for me personally, what things end up kind of culminating into is like more of like a carb cycling regimen.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it doesn't like, I'll just, of course, I don't know. Like, I think for me, like, usually, like, I'll get a feel out of it, over like the first, like, couple weeks or so, see how their body's responding to the foods,
Mhm.
what's digesting well, and then I kind of just manipulate things from there. Um, but I'm sure, like you said, every client is different. Like, no program is the same. No one's eating the same amount of anything. It's just like whatever that individual person kind of basically goes down to and what works for them.
That's it's same way. Like I said, it takes a couple weeks. These are the food sources. These are the amounts. I take feedback, and then we'll make changes based off that. It could totally turn a whole nother way than when we started. But usually it's a consistent, smooth transition. My instincts, I guess you want to call it, my gut is usually right with whatever I see and what I pull, and then it just changes through time. Like you said, everybody is different. Nobody's made the same, and anything can change at any time. Your environment, stress, anything can change you. So that's what makes a good coach, is being able to make those changes um, in those many different situations.
Exactly. And that's where, honestly, man, where I see that sets you apart, dude. And what I've seen out of your clients, man, it's been phenomenal to see just the list just growing, man, and everyone that you've been posting over the
Thanks, man.
last couple
Thank
of
you.
years, man. Yeah, I've been impressed, man. Seriously. So we have this question here, and this is actually a question that I was going to ask you as well. Was
Mhm.
like, what is the type of training style that you like to use?
I can't really put an exact definition behind it, but I'm going to try. So for years, I've worked with many of the best coaches, and all of them never had this crazy complex stuff people are doing today. It's train your fucking ass off till you have nothing else. And that's it. But the only take back I have from my years of doing it is do it with correct form and don't lift with ego like I did. I was very ballistic. I got too intense with it. My form wasn't the best. I still grew because my genetics and whatnot too. But having that picture perfect form and slowly rising up with the weight, but you really, really have to put everything you have into each session. I mean, it could be 6 to 8 reps. It could be 20 rep set with drop sets. It's whatever the situation really calls for. And plus, too, like we said, same thing with the diet. Not every person's the same. Yeah, of course, with the training, you have some sort of basis. But in order to build a physique that does not look normal, you have to really push it way outside of the pain threshold. You really have to know when to adapt. But here's also the other thing, too, is you can't be 100% all the time. You have to know when to pull back on things. Lower the volume down, lower the reps. Hell, maybe even take a week off. Maybe take a couple of days off. That's a whole other aspect of being a good coach, if you want to call it, is when to make those play calls. So really isn't any set way. Lift heavy, lift hard, lift with volume, and just leave it all out there and just know when to pull back. Because today, people are big with this whole progressive overload thing and whatnot, and the low reps and the heavyweight. Yeah, that's great. Are you going to get big? Sure. But you're asking for tons of injuries. I mean, look at Dorian Yates back then. I guess nobody's going to look at him. I'm also seeing that the guts are getting bigger with that type of training. You're just
Yeah.
placing all this massive load on you. You're blowing your stomach out with all this food and probably taking a lot of gear too. I'm also seeing a lot of, heart enlargement. If you look at powerlifters' hearts, their hearts get so big from doing those 1 to 2 reps.
Yep.
So that's just aside from the fact. But to build a very round, dense, thick physique, you need volume, you need to lift heavy, you need to lift with good form, and really just push past that pain barrier. It's not all about just going heavy.
I agree. I agree. I mean, honestly, because when I think back and see just how, even with myself personally, how I've been able to build my own physique, that's exactly it. And it's just building through that. And also another thing I feel like is once I started actually adapting my training to doing like a body part twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I really felt like my physique actually took off. And even like when working with certain clients, like just really getting to like get a little bit extra work in. I think for me, a person that actually changed my perception of training a lot was John Meadows. I had initially hired him actually to to help me with my diet at first, but then I was like, this is really not going to work out. I don't really like the style. So I just asked him, I was like, I really enjoy the workouts. Could I just trade everything for workouts for X amount of years? And he was perfectly fine with it. But yeah, man, that style of training, just the whole mountain dog thing, right? Before he started adding all the fucking bands and shit. Dude, it was just like, bro, they were fucking like, they were just nasty fucking workouts, dude. But what it changed for me was just adding that extra volume, to the training. Because like, I was like, before that, dude, I was like super basic, dude. It was like, I'm going to do set number 1, set number 2, no, set number 3, set number 4. Okay. All right, we're done. And then after that, it was like for him, what he brought it to to my own training was just, building upon those sets. Then you're hitting one to failure, and then and it's just, but you end up getting in like shit. You end up getting like 6 or 7 different sets in for a particular exercise. And but yeah, it was just that extra load, like you were mentioning, man, the extra volume, dude. It's just like, again, just really fucking, again, that's just from what I've seen. And I'm with you, man. Everyone with this whole progressive overload, does it work? Absolutely, sure. But I feel like to be honest, training doesn't always take so much thought, man. It's just like, keep the shit basic, work your ass off, and then just kind of just grow from there.
Like, I can't agree anymore with you, because they're so complicating everything. And, it's plus too, to add on, I feel a lot of people also do this progressive, I hate this word because it's so overused, but this lower volume, heavier trainings because they're lazy. Yeah, sure. Go into the gym, do your two warm-up sets of 4 to 5 reps, and then go do your really heavy set, and then go rest for three minutes. I'm sorry, that's not working. Go into the gym, build up to 585 in the squat through 5 sets, and then do a triple drop set at the end. Then tell me how you feel. Is it great for everybody? But this whole, I'm just overthinking it. It's also laziness tied into it. You don't even need to be all that. Just get in there, train hard, know how to tax the muscle to where you don't get hurt, and that's it. Just like you said, it doesn't need to be overcomplicated.
I agree. I think there may be a difference though with like maybe people that are on gear as opposed to those that are natural. I think a competitor that's natural, I feel like wouldn't be able to withstand that sort of load that like maybe that we're talking about. Because that's something that I would feel like whenever I would come off, man, for extended periods, like I would actually kind of be like, damn, okay, now I kind of see like how some of my little natty friends, like when they're training, how they can't push those extra sets. So maybe that sort of style may be a little bit more beneficial. They need a little bit extra rest time and whatnot. Because yeah, actually, someone just wrote this question down. Do you train people on gear different than natural competitor? What's the difference in terms of numbers, reps, sets, and rest days? For me personally, I think that would just vary. Again, it varies with the individual client. But I think the structure would still remain the same. It would just be their ability to be able to, basically load the training in itself. What would you do?
I'm totally with you on that, because, obviously if somebody's on, the gear, their recovery is going to be much quicker. Of course, they're going to be much stronger. The endurance is going to be much better. But, if you're natural, you do risk burning muscle. If you're on stuff, it's very hard to burn muscle. So I'm very big into looking for the whole window of recovery. Rest days are big with me, especially with natural. It'll be 2 to 3 rest days a week. The volume can't be too high. You can't. It's like that 6-minute long drop set I just told you about. They definitely cannot do that because they're just going to burn through themselves. So you really have to pay attention. But also too, everybody's built differently. You can have a guy that's natural that can withstand something like that and still grow, but that's very far. That's very far and few. As most that are natural, you're really going to have to be careful and watch for those little key points that they're not recovering, and that's very important. But it certainly cannot be the same in any matter. Do you have to train hard? Hell yeah, because you're not looking to look normal. Even though you're natural, you're still looking to not look normal. You have to do things that the regular everyday gym doer doesn't. But there's a very very fine line there from crossing over and just totally burning through everything.
I agree. And the nutrition too, man. That's like with a natural competitor for me, I feel like the nutrition definitely has no room to give in any way either.
I'm with you on that. Even when I diet my natural competitors, I'll usually start them on 20 weeks out. I'll keep them lean up to 20 weeks out and keep it very, very slow and really watch things. I'm very big with antioxidants, and everybody really should be, but they need it more than anybody. The antioxidants, you're going to like this, fruits, getting all those veggies, all the micronutrients and whatnot is very, very important. The over-the-counter supplements, the ones that work, the basics do really work for them. So all that does come into the picture with them. You really have to, just keep an eye on things very carefully. But I'm 100% with you on that. The nutrition and the supplements, of course, not complicated BS, just the basics and whatnot do play a very important part in natural. So I'm 100% in agreement with you on that.
So let me ask you this, man. What supplements do you recommend for your clients?
In what sense? Are we talking muscle building or health supplements? Because I'm big on supplements.
Yeah, let's talk about both muscle building and the health supplements. I think it's crucial for people to know.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll start with the non-health supplements. I'm very big on, of course, a good multivitamin, fish oil, your vitamin C's, your vitamin D's, your vitamin E's, your curcumin, NAC, a solid whey protein, a carbohydrate powder for after the workout, like a cyclic dextrin is what I prefer. Intra-workout nutrition. I love cyclic dextrin.
Yeah, sits the best in the stomach.
That's especially for me, because especially during training, because I'm very big at intra-workout nutrition. And actually, the company I'm sponsored by, I was using their products even before I was sponsored by them. Raging Full is their carb product. It's cyclic dextrin, modified potato starch, blood flow ingredients. And then you have Aminotor, which is essential amino acids and BCAAs. I'll add an extra glutamine on that. Of course, your creatine, taurine. After the workout, you have your protein and your carbs. Maybe I'll have the creatine after. It really depends. It's not like needed with my clients, but I do love vasodilators with my clients, like say Nitrox by AD. I love citrulline malate, which Dante Trudell actually turned me on to high doses of citrulline malate, not only for bodybuilding, but for health purposes as well. I take 14 grams a day personally.
14 grams. I do 10.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I take 7 in the morning and 7 at night. It's crazy pumps, and it's good for the heart and blood pressure.
Right. Interesting. I never thought about it in that way, and actually using it outside of the training.
Oh yeah, he's the one that brought that to my attention. If you go to his page and check it out, he has a long write-up on it. It is amazing for blood pressure, the heart, sex, and it really does work. Yeah, man, I love citrulline malate. What else do I use? My health supplements, it could really depend. Citrus bergamot. A lot of my health supplementation, he has himself taught me and mentored me on. Cardone for blood pressure, citrus bergamot for lipids, even blood sugar, NAC. What else do we have? Liver Care by AD, which is their liver product, NAC, milk thistle, all that good stuff. Heart Plus, which is ubiquinol, grapeseed extract. The list goes on. Fish oil, high quality fish oil is very important. Like I said, citrulline malate. What else do I take? Like 10 to 14 different things. You know what?
Do you use TUDCA?
Yes, I'm very big on TUDCA, actually by Leviathan Nutrition. It's third-party tested. I got to know the owner personally, so that is one of the very few TUDCAs in the market that is true to the label. That's awesome for, of course, the liver and bile acids. Let me pull up a quick list so everybody knows.
Right. It also helps with glutathione production, natural glutathione.
I actually take injectable glutathione twice. Really? Yeah, dude, I love it. I take that with actually injectable NAC and CoQ10. Take those twice a week. Best Naturals Astragalus, which is amazing for kidney health, blood pressure. That's another one I got from Dante. Curcumin, amazing.
Yeah, curcumin is amazing. But it has to be make sure that it's paired with black pepper.
Yes, I actually use the
increases the absorption by about 2,000%.
I actually use Life Extensions, supervised curcumin.
Yes, perfect. That's probably, I use pretty much a lot of their things.
They're one of the most solid, if not the most solid vitamin brand in the market.
Yes,
excellent.
Definitely. Totally agree.
I add an extra ubiquinol. And that's pretty much it. I have some others, but that's the basics of everything I take. I absolutely love supplements. I've seen blood work transform. When somebody would be taking blood pressure medications or say a metformin for blood sugar issues that a doctor would give them, all that nonsense that you don't need to take. It's somebody that had an EGFR of 34, creatinine was almost triple. The guy's totally normal now, just with, proper supplementation, diet, and all that good stuff. A quality fiber product like AD Fiber, just to add into that. So yeah, I'm very big on supplements. Golden resources, kidney stuff. I can go on and on.
And it's good to hear, though, man. Like, this is important for people to know and understand. So I definitely appreciate your insight when it comes to that, because something that I'm also big on. Basically, everything that you mentioned is where I'm at as well. So we actually have another question here, man, if you don't mind.
Oh no, whatever they have.
So this guy Robert says, how do you calculate people's daily or weekly protein intake?
Oh, I keep it very basic, a gram to a gram and a half per body weight. I don't like to go over a gram and a half, really. I've seen everybody grow more than enough at a gram and a half. It's very rare that I'll go to 2 because there's no reason to stress not only kidneys, but the digestive health. All that, it's meat. We're not really meant, you of all, I'm talking to you. You of all people know this firsthand. You're the one who opened my eyes up to it. We're not meant to eat all that. It screws the digestion, your heart, dude, even your brain gets fogged. So a gram to gram and a half, let's say a gram and a half is solid in my opinion. Your body just has to work extra overtime to get through all that. There's people just way overdo it with the proteins.
Yeah, I agree, man. We've obviously talked about this before on Instagram. But yeah, like for me, I think a gram and a half is about the maximum. Because to be honest, it's just I've even through the previous years before I did the switch nutritionally, I didn't really feel like the need of consuming so much. Like I was probably only averaging around maximum 250 grams, but I just found like a good balance was always key. Someone says meat heals.
Yeah.
I guess if you're only eating meat alone, but I'm not sure. I've never done this. They have this whole carnivore diet.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so that's big with like Sean Baker and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been really interested in just seeing kind of like the science between like, why is this stuff popping up? I have a couple buddies that are basically running their own little experiments with it right now. So, but yeah, it's just something that's been popular as of late, at least. So we have another question here. Thoughts on growth hormone. So do you usually like have your clients using it?
Well, so if they are I try not. So if you're not a competitive bodybuilder, I say save the money and save your health. There's no reason to put in your body, unless you're going to do a low, very, very low dose for maybe anti-aging purposes, or just make yourself, recover a little bit faster. Because as we know, it does make everything grow, not just the muscles, possible blood sugar issues. Do I like growth hormone from a bodybuilding standpoint? Oh, it could be a game changer if your body responds to it well. And they only believe in using pharmaceutical. Because with the stuff coming from China, I don't care what your blood work says, the IGF, the serum growth hormone, you can take peptides and get those numbers. But the actual look of the physique is never the same. If you look at guys that take true pharmaceutical growth hormone versus the Chinese generics, they never had that same look, that dense muscle, that thin skin. It's just a very distinct look. But do I love growth hormone? Yeah, definitely. If they can afford pharmaceutical and not break the bank, sure, let's do it. But I also don't like to use high amounts of it either. I have personally experimented high amounts of it. I didn't see any difference in using, say, the 5 to 9 I use. I'll tell that to everybody. You're only going to run into health effects, heart growth. It makes all your organs grow. Let's just, cut right to it. But yeah, growth hormone can definitely be a game changer. And just to let everybody know, do not spend your last dollar on it. Most people will spend everything they have on it, thinking like it's this miracle. Yeah, is it a big key? Sure, but don't dump all your money into it. It's just not one of those things. Any of this, you shouldn't be dumping your money into it. Speaking from personal experience, but yeah, big fan of growth hormone. How about you?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm with you, man. Like, I feel like when I was first introduced to it, like, man, my physique really kind of like transformed itself quite a bit. And it wasn't necessarily while I was using it, but it was more after, right? So you get that hyperplasia effect of it, right? So like during the time, you get more of the fat burning effect, like you said. Like it was crazy, dude. Even at the same time, like it was like my body was like essentially growing as I was still dieting. You know about this.
Yes.
Where it's like just that the how do you say body composition is just changing. just endlessly, man. Putting on more mass, cutting out more fat, weight staying the same. So that's kind of what I got out of it. But yeah, like I haven't really used it so much over like the last like few years though. But it was in the early years. But I definitely feel like it can make a difference. But as you mentioned, if it's costing you an arm and a leg, and it's breaking the bank, then there's no point. Because I mean, it's at the end of the day, man. There's nothing that works better than just the basic stuff, anyways.
Exactly. That's just another tool to have, and the payoff of all this isn't going to outweigh sacrificing all that money for it. So,
right. Because I mean, I always think about like at the end of the day, like back in the past, man. Like it's not like this thing was, this is still relatively new in the age of bodybuilding. Like over maybe like the last 25 or so years, being something relevant. But I mean, I could be wrong. They could have been using it even before then. But
actually, the early '90s, I believe, is when they first started getting the growth from the cadaver. Early '90s, maybe late '80s. From what I know, I think early '90s, and they were barely even using it. It was way too expensive. They were using two to three IUs up until the late '90s. And if you know to see the trend after 2000 is when the real insulin abuse started coming in, the high amounts of growth hormones. That's when the body started just becoming freaky, but the guts started growing and everything too.
So what do you think causes the guts, man? Like I have my own opinion on this. I really feel like it has more to do with the volume of food and then the people's lack of training their core. I feel like those are the two aspects of it more than just like supplementation, the extra supplementation and whatnot.
Yeah, so that's another point we both had the same standpoint on is it's not growth hormone. You can use high amounts of growth hormone. It's not going to make your stomach grow. But it is the volume of food and letting your stomach hang out and the abdominal wall and all that does stretch and get used to that. Like I said, the whole progressive overload thing. Look at a lot of these people doing this online and look how massive their stomach is while they are training. Even with the belt, their stomach is going over the belt. So you have all this food sitting in you, which in order to keep up with the high amounts of insulin most of these guys are doing, they have to eat and take all that in. And their digestive health are usually crap to begin with. And then they're training and their stomach is just blowing out. Your body gets used to that. And that's what happens. It totally blows everything out. Every year I've competed, my stomach has got smaller every single year. And that's because I always made sure I trained my abs for the show. I always kept it tight during training. I wore my belt the whole workout, every single workout. I never overconsumed foods. I was able to eat a lot, but it became naturally to me because my digestive health was always good. I was always absorbing nutrients. I wasn't doing that year round. So it 100% is the lack of training, the core, which people's abs today are horrible. As you can see, nobody really trains abs anymore. They're letting their stomachs blow out while training heavy, and then the abuse of the insulin, which that's not making the stomach grow, it's the amount of food.
Right.
So I agree with you there.
Right. I have to say the same thing, man. Like when I compete, I always make sure to wear my belt on. People act like this is just like, oh, it's so stupid. Why are you wearing your belt all the time? Da, da, da. But to be honest, man, it really does help keep your midsection tight. Mm-hmm. Like every time I've used it consistently. And then I remember there was one show prep that I didn't, that I just got lazy and I was like, you know what, fuck this. I don't need my belt, let it out. But dude, I saw the difference in my midsection. I didn't have as much control.
It's true. That's what happened to me.
Right. Because during my training, when you keep your belt on tight, like you're forcing your abs to stay firm. And then, like you said, man, like I would time out my meals so that I was never full during training. I would like eat a meal, keep it like a relatively decent size, make sure I was getting enough nutrition, but nothing that it was just over the top to where, like you said, I'd be sitting there fucking huffing and puffing, filled with food. And to be honest, I'll keep this real here with everybody here, but I've used insulin one time. I mean, not necessarily one time, but just one portion of my bodybuilding career. I'm not gonna lie, man, it was crazy. Definitely gave some ridiculous freaking pumps, but I don't know, man. What's your take on it, by the way?
I personally think it's overrated, and people aren't going to believe this. Even all my off seasons, I may have used it in an off season once or twice because I got sick of doing the protocol and I didn't want to carry all the powders and stuff. And the only time I really used it was carving up for Easterns and Nationals when I worked with Chad Nichols. I experimented it a little bit in 2017 in the off season, not enough. But I've always experimented just enough to where I was able to learn about the drug and be able to apply it to other people. But even my clients, I'm not crazy with it, dude. It's very, very overrated because I see a lot of people blast these insulin dosages and go up in weight just to come prep for showtime, come way down and weight back to where they were. And it's like, it creates like a fake look in a way, a fake balloony look. You lack, I don't know if there's a science behind this, but there's like almost like a fat that builds up in the muscle fibers, I believe, from it. And you have that very, like, it's not water retention on the outside because they're dry, but a very balloony look with no detail.
That's what causes like insulin resistance.
What do you mean?
Having the fat within the muscles. That's what eventually causes like type 2 diabetes.
Ah, see, I didn't realize that. I never thought about that. I looked at the fat in the muscles, from a physique standpoint, looking at the detail,
Yeah, that's actually the cause of type 2 diabetes. It's intramyocellular lipids. So just the lipids within the muscle cell. Yeah, it's crazy, man. So it's like, just to think about it, it's like literally that's how you see some of these people eventually giving themselves diabetes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's they're abusing growth hormone in dosages that me and you both know are through the roof. And then adding insulin into that and all that food, you're bound to just screw your blood sugar and become diabetic eventually, either be type 2 or whatever it is.
Especially if they're eating too much fat and stuff along with the foods. That's the real problem. Well, you have this idiot guy, like, I'm not gonna call him idiot, I'm sorry. But you see, it was one of these guys, it was one of these gurus, man, that he was like, he took a picture with a piece of cake and some insulin. And was like, I don't know. I'm just like, this is literally the worst thing to fucking eat with this stuff. But it's just like promoting the whole aspect of it, dude. It was crazy to me, man.
Well, yeah, whatever goes with the insulin goes right to its rightful place. Either it be carbs going to glycogen stores or, into the bloodstream if you're having way too much, or the fat stores. I personally keep the fat away from the insulin as well. Use it for the carbohydrates, and that's it if you use it. But, there's a time and place for it. I don't like to abuse it with my clients because, like I said, it just leads to a look that I don't like. There's a reason why, humbly speaking, a lot of my clients come in shredded, but with detail all around. Nobody was ever ballooning. And that's why I'm very big into eat big to get big. Don't use insulin to eat more and training hard and then dieting hard for the show. And that creates a detailed physique. So the insulin for sure definitely creates that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's another thing, man, is to be able to just continually build that load of food without having to force it. I think once you start forcing it, man, it's like, I don't know. I always feel like that's when things tend to kind of just like teeter down a little bit.
That's a very good point because a lot of people are like, oh, you got to force feed. You got to blend your food and eat. That's bull crap because I have clients that have never had that before me, never had an appetite. It all comes down to digestive health, as you know. I know you're very big with that. And if your digestive health is 100%, you're truly training hard, you're going to create the proper stimulus and environment to absorb, not only be able to eat all that food, but to absorb it. What's the point of jamming all that food if you're not absorbing it? What's going to happen? It's going to keep pushing at your stomach and cause health problems. I have people going up to 2.5 cups of rice per meal, 7 to 8 ounces of meat in a meal. You got your fat and their blood sugar is excellent. Their digestive health is great. They're staying lean, and they're growing. Digestive health is 100% a very big key in that. And, that whole old school, I don't want to call old school, but old school, we're going to call old school. When eat to grow, eat till you can't eat no more. There's no reason for that. You can eat a lot, but just go through the proper steps to get to that route.
Right. I agree, man. So what are some of the main foods you like to basically use for your clients?
Oh, I use pretty much everything. It could be, protein sources, chicken, steaks. I like flank steak. I do like a fatty source of steak. If it is contest prep, maybe I'll use a sirloin, but usually I try to tend towards the more fatty cuts. Whitefish, I love. Cod, flounder. Egg whites I'm big on if they can digest it well. Whole omega eggs I love. With carbohydrate, me too. I love them. I love even me just 5 whole omega eggs. Throw some mushrooms and stuff in it. Carbohydrates, I'm very big actually on white rice, cream of rice. White and red potatoes are hit or miss because some people can't tolerate them. Or it's for a very short time. Like me personally, I could digest it really well, but only for a short period of time, and then it starts to bloat me.
It's crazy, man. It's the same thing with me, dude. So it's like I'll use it and I'll be okay, but then it's like sometimes, dude, I got points where I was literally getting gas from it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
bad gas too.
really bad, and I was just
Yeah.
like, "What the hell, man?" But eating white rice, like, it feels great. What about oatmeal? Do you like
Oh,
oatmeal?
oatmeal, like sometimes I'll use oatmeal with people. If I'm looking for sometimes, with people that are holding on to really excess body fat, is I'll stray away from the cream of rice. I'll use a white rice maybe here or there in low amounts, but the oats. Oats are also great because of the fiber. It's really good for the digestive system, your lipids. Oats I like. Ezekiel bread I like. Um, what else? Sweet potatoes I usually use with a lot of people. They tolerate that much better than the white and red like we just spoke about. But I have them take off the skin because some people have problem with the skin.
Mm,
Um,
very interesting.
and that's the round. Of course, your veggies too. I love using spinach. For the micronutrients in the spinach.
Right.
Asparagus. Oh, did it just die? Oh, okay.
No, it's good.
Okay.
You're
The
still
food fight
alive,
went
man.
on. Green beans. So I like to mix it up with fruits. I know you're gonna like this. Organic blueberries, bananas. I love to use with people. Grapefruits. Um, what else do I use? Is that it for the
People don't
fruits?
understand just how well fruits digest, man, and it's great to also replenish some of the liver glycogen as well.
Big time, and they're full of antioxidants.
Yep.
Where it's just aside from physique purposes, very good for your health.
And another
You
thing
know.
too is that it creates that balance between the sodium and potassium. Because I feel like a lot of the food that we're consuming these days are missing quite a bit of potassium. So
Mhm.
it's like that'll kind of help make up that difference. And it's just and they're fucking good.
Well, that's also why I use a lot of spinach too.
Yes.
Spinach is so underrated. Leafy spinach is so underrated. But that's one of the main reasons I use it is for the potassium.
Yeah.
It's a very good natural source of potassium along with the fruits and stuff too. So you do get that balance.
I feel like that again. That's to me. That's one of the missing things, and also just if people don't allow, because like maybe you have too many inflammatory fats too, right? So getting in those omega threes to balance out that omega 3 to omega 6 ratio. Man, we got another guy asked over here. What is the biggest misconception in the fitness industry? That's a good question.
That is a good question because there could be many answers to it. What is the biggest misconception? I mean, we could talk about training, diet. Let's say, oh, you know what? Here we go. This applies to today. The biggest misconception is that more drugs will make you a pro bodybuilder. There's openly promoted.
Mm,
It's openly promoted on the internet, and it started with YouTube a few years ago. Is that bodybuilding is all drugs? Is it a big part of it? Yes. Let's be real with people. You're not going to turn pro without them. However, if your body does not respond to them, you don't have the genetic keys to respond to. It's not going to happen. But more drugs do not make you a bodybuilder. There's people who are out there saying, "Oh, insulin, GH, tren, anadrol, high doses. You'll be a pro." They all do it. They all need it. No, no, it's the biggest misconception. And why did the guys in the '90s on such little amounts of gear look the way they did and look better than the guys today? Of course, the quality was better, but they trained their asses off. They ate correctly, and that was really it. That's to
I
me the
think,
biggest misconception.
yeah, I think they honestly they do. They emphasize more on the training, the basics, man. I feel like today now with social media, this age of social media, dude, it just creates this whole storm. Like you said, people just think, let me take the drugs, I'll become a pro bodybuilder. And it just doesn't work that way. I've had clients, dude, that probably ran more shit than me than I've ever ran in my entire life, man.
Oh,
And same height, but just were not able to get the same results. Not even close. Um, and it just shows, man. Like some people are just made for this. Like you were born for this. Like your physique essentially just like, man, it was like it just freaking soaked it up. And just you continue to freaking just grow and grow and grow. And the same goes with me is like you'll know when your boy is working. And
oh
it's just
yeah,
like
that's
it's quite obvious, man. Um, yeah, someone says social media is the devil. Absolutely, man. It's definitely turned. I feel like it's definitely over sexualized fitness and bodybuilding and stuff, man. It's
oh
pretty
big
crazy
time,
to me these days.
big time. Social media, YouTube. YouTube was great up until people started openly talking about drugs. And tell you a quick story. When I owned a supplement store with actually Mike that we were talking about before, and my dad, many years ago, you would have a 17-year-old kid or 16-year-old kid come into the store and quote Boston Lloyd. about drugs. The kid wouldn't ask us about nutrition, barely ask us about supplements. It would be about drugs because he's seen that person talking about drugs online, and that is needed in those doses to be something. And I remember since that time is when the drug use got way out of control. But yeah, I remember it was because of YouTube and the people that were putting it out there is where we are today with people.
Yeah,
with the drugs.
You mean like with you? So you said Boston, man. Yeah, because I mean, it created another misconception to think that this is the way it is. It's strictly the way this guy says it is, which we both know that's not true. There's going to be some genetic outliers, man. Usually the ones that are at the top of the pro game, dude, at least from what I've seen, man, they're not doing anywhere near as much as some of the even amateurs that I've seen.
Oh, the kids, the 20-year-olds and the 21-year-olds, even the 18 and 19-year-olds come to me. And I see their cycles, and I'm just, listen, I'm no angel. I've experimented with high doses just to learn for myself because I like to learn. How can I tell somebody something if I haven't learned and research in every way in myself? Actually, recently somebody hired me, and he came to me. He was on like 1,600 milligrams of test. I mean, dosages were just ridiculous. And young in his younger 20s, and I was like, dude, you have to come off. You haven't been off in years. I don't want to put his age out there, but he was in his lower 20s. I'm like, you have to come off. Just come off. He didn't look like he was on those dosages, not by anything close. And I'm like, dude, aside from physique purposes, you're going to run into these serious health issues later on, and you have to come off. And that's another big misconception is you have certain people putting out there that pros and top nationally has never come off. I came off every year for 3 to 4 months at a time, maybe more sometimes. And that was another reason why I responded the way I did was because I came totally off. None of this TRT crap that people do. I took my PCT and I came off and I dealt with it like a man. It's a whole nother big topic we get into, but people don't realize that it is not all drugs and it's all the other aspects that come before it.
This is what I love about, honestly, when I talk to you and Jeff Long, for example, man, because, we all kind of basically have the same understanding. It's like when you're done, you're done. You stop. You let your body rest. I mean, back in the day, if I remember correctly, Ronnie Coleman, man, when he would be finished with the Olympia or the cycles, because I remember they had just a number of shows back to back after the Olympia, and then then they would chill. He would literally not do anything, dude, for 6 months.
It's true. Most of them did. Lavroni. He would do what I always did. I would stop training. I don't recommend people do that. I just had the genetic ability to stop training and explode after. But I always like to lay back, go out, party, have some fun, come off, not focus so much on bodybuilding. But all of them did that. And then today you have people that aren't even pro that look like freaks. So, you have to stay on year round. You have to be on TRT. And here you have 18 and 19-year-olds being like, I have to be on TRT. I'm like, did your doctor prescribe you that? No, I'm like,
bro, it's crazy, man.
That's not what it is. It's a big issue. It's a very big issue.
It's pretty insane, dude. Yeah, whenever I come off, dude, it's like I'm done. I've stayed off sometimes for, I remember 11 months, a whole year. When I'm traveling and stuff, man, I'm just enjoying life, dude. It's the last thing I want to think about, But it's not until I say, all right, I have a show in mind and I have a certain amount of time that I feel like I know how long it takes for my body to be essentially peak in a way, and get to that maximum size, at least, what I consider a good amount of size. Cause I try to gauge my weight and figure out where am I going to land within a weight class, cause the last time, last year, I kept all doses small, dude. I think in total, bro, I took less than less than maybe 700, 800 milligrams.
That's right, because I remember asking you about it. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
They were really low. But you also have the ability to do that, not only because of your genetics, but because you always came off throughout the years. You didn't fry yourself out, and tolerance is a real thing. And people don't realize that. Yeah, people don't realize that. You don't want to listen, even though your body may require more. It's not like okay, it's like I'm taking 500 milligrams because 1,000 is my norm now. You're going to get the side effects. And later on, you're going to pay the consequences to that. Somebody's going to have to pay, and it's going to be you. But that's the reason why you always respond to is because you came off totally. You didn't do none of this other nonsense that people do.
Dude, and it's when you get ready to rock and roll, it's bro, Like your body responds, man. It's like that muscle memory is like next level. I mean, this even just now, dude, like just like a month ago, I said, okay, I'm going to get ready, start prepping. And literally, bro, it took like 4-6 weeks. And like,
That's all it takes me is when I come
physique
back.
just changes, man. It's like night and day. But like you said, like we were talking about earlier, man, it's just there's going to be just certain people that essentially their body will take it and respond like that. And not everyone is that way. And honestly, man, like I'm just like you. I've definitely done some pretty heavy experimenting in the past, and that's also led me to a much more like conservative like approach towards everything, because it made me realize that what's I guess in a sense what is actually necessary, right? Like where but you can only find this stuff out until you figure out where the point of diminishing returns essentially is.
You have to go on both sides of the fence and see
Right.
for yourself,
It's the same thing with the diet, dude. Like I went and did the whole vegan thing, man. 21 months, bro. No meat.
I remember.
And literally eating nothing but fucking fruits and shit all the time, man. Like, literally doing this. So, and kept my protein low, dude. Like, even during the prep, man, I was only doing 100 grams of protein a day. And,
it was funny. I remember when you first started doing that, and I remember I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like, why is he doing this? And people were like, oh, he's crazy. He's this, he's that. And I'm sitting there watching, man. And it was also the time that you started doing it. And like right to like the middle, I remember is when my eyes started opening up to the health consequences of things even more. And I'm like, people would talk about what you're doing. I'm like, he ain't crazy. This kid's not going to die by the time he's 40. Look at him. He's still huge. His genetics play a big part, but how the hell does he look like that? He's eating proper nutrition, not eating meat. We're not meant to eat all that meat. His skin looks like, he's glowing. He looks like you just lost,
bro, it was crazy.
Years. It looks like you just gained 10 years on your life. It was insane watching. I was like, wow, you like really opened my eyes to that. And that's when people bash the whole vegan thing and stuff. I'm like, it's so hypocritical because you're not only eating all this food, which all foods today are garbage with what they put in it. Right. You're also taking all these drugs. And if I'm going to pick if I had a son and he was going to pick either taking steroids and all this meat and being vegan, I'd be okay, go eat fruits and go eat vegan because you're going to live a long life, Right. I remember when you were doing that.
Yeah. I think, at the end of the day, man, it definitely came down to like, where now, obviously I'm back eating some meat and fish and eggs and stuff, man. Just kind of like playing around with my foods right now. It just showed me that balance, man, where it's like, if you try to do bodybuilding as a vegan, like it worked in my favor by keeping the protein low, because then I removed over consuming some of these these foods that are really, really high in insoluble fibers. They were really irritating my gut. But that was only whenever I started really bringing in the lentils and the beans and stuff and consuming them heavily. Where before, when I was just doing the fruits and then I would do like a smoothie for my protein, like my gut wasn't being like messed around with because I was eating plenty of soluble fibers, and the fruit fiber is much different. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, you can, like you said, dude, that was one thing that I definitely noticed, man, whenever I did it was like my skin was definitely like different, man. It had like this, like you said, a glow to it. It was weird. It was crazy.
The glow was your body is actually processing things. Like you just hit on the head. Your digestive health was
dude, it was crazy.
Immaculate.
It was good.
Your body wasn't worried about breaking down these meats and absorbing all these toxins that are in the meat. There's going to a whole other thing about that. And it can actually heal itself and grow and function the right way. Actually, I fasted a few times. I mean, it wasn't, I guess you want to call it a correct fast. My dad actually turned me on to it. So before, at the end of every time I was off a cycle, right before I would go on, I would try to push for a week of just water and V8s. And the first day was tough, but once I hit that second day, I couldn't sleep. I had so much energy. I would sleep maybe 3-4 hours a night. But I remember I had no lines in my eyes. My skin was so colorful. My hair was so dark. And you just felt so good because your body focuses on, healing itself, and it gets all those toxins out and all the other crap from taking all the stuff. And, then I'll go back on and put all the toxins back in. But I seen firsthand, how big an impact all that is.
But think about that, man, how much that actually still does benefit you though. And that was what I had kind of kept in my mind too. It was like, yeah, okay, I may not be getting the most optimal results from what I was looking to achieve in that moment, but there's definitely a benefit. You know, at the end of the day,
100%.
look, fucking throwing in the high amounts of antioxidants from the fruits. I was eating tons of blueberries, dude. I still ate quite a few bananas, dates. Dates have a good amount of iron. They're also good for the
I love
liver.
dates.
You know, and that was also one thing I realized, man, is that, you know, these diets can be manipulated however which way. But it's like there's certain ways to be able to break down your macronutrients so that you can allow for your body to essentially just kind of flow. Because like if you do the super high carbs, then you have to keep the fats low.
Mhm.
Like absolutely. And that's how like my digestion was like flowing because I didn't really have anything slowing everything down.
Mhm.
You know, and I did notice that if I did eat more fast, then I started actually putting on fat. Where like, dude, I was probably pushing like 700, 800 grams of carbs a day, dude. It was
Damn.
crazy. Yeah, some days I would even eat 1,000. I mean, it would be easy, like especially when I would be making these smoothies and stuff.
Mhm.
And dude, I was staying pretty lean. But it's like
I know.
if I mixed up the you know, the macros and added in more fats, and then it was like it would throw my body off. So it was pretty crazy, dude. But of course, everything else had to be low. So your total overall caloric intake wouldn't necessarily be that high.
Mhm.
But it's just, yeah, it's crazy how your body essentially just adapts to whatever scenario you give it. So like a person that does keto, right? They'll eventually become fat adapted, you
Mhm.
know, where their body will handle the fats more, but it'll cause them to have some crazy insulin resistance. You know, as soon as they tap in some carbs, their freaking insulin's sky high.
It goes crazy.
Yeah, and it's hard but it'll take like a week or two to be able to control. But yeah, man, it's just man, this is what I love about the body, bro, because it's like you can just sit here and test things out and figure this shit out.
Well, it's never ending. It's a never ending learning experience, things to experiment with. You know, and
Right.
I always like to play with everything I possibly could. It'd be nutrition, gear, supplements. I like to learn and see, you know, what happens. You know, it's limitless.
Right, man. But this is the real science. You know, it's like this is because we're essentially collecting data. You know, like you said, endlessly, man. Seeing how things are, seeing how you feel, everything's react, and so forth. Then you check the blood work. 'Cause I know you're big on getting your blood work from your clients
Yes.
pretty often. You know, and you're able to see these things firsthand, and you know, and that's what we're like having proper check-ins and stuff with your clients is crucial, man, because you can go back and go check all this data and it's perfectly organized, you know, and just allow you to be able to just break it down.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%.
Man, let's see. We'll answer a few more questions. I don't want to keep you on too long, man. We'll definitely have to come back on here again, dude.
Yeah, dude, whenever you want. It's pretty cool. Like we have a lot of same viewpoints too. So
Yeah. So someone asks, what is your favorite and best pre-workout meal?
my favorite best pre-workout meal. It's a very good question. Actually, it would be contest prep. I would always love having my steak, avocado, and rice pre-workout, or just be steak and rice because you know my digestion gets so fast. It's weird because in the off season I get very soft and fat very easy, no matter what I do. But I get in shape extremely fast for the show, and I can tolerate high amounts of food, but I always kept the food low. So having a pre-workout meal, I can't feel like I'm empty during the workout because then it's not just a mentally thing because my body's just processing so fast. So having like steak, avocado, and a little bit of rice pre-workout just to be able to push through because like I was just saying, the training intensity was just beyond the roof, especially during prep that I needed something to have some sort of substance to it. And that was always my favorite go-to. With my clients, it could always change. It's always different. You know, I don't have a set one for clients, but that's personally my favorite. Not only just for taste, but you know, for feeling good during the workout and being able to push the to the max.
That's interesting, man. Actually, for me, I would actually go with something. You know, I've never done really red meat pre-workout. Like I've tried to keep things that actually would make me feel a little bit lighter. So I
Mm-hmm.
usually would do like oats, some protein. If I did add some fats, maybe just like half of a tablespoon or maybe 1 tablespoon of some peanut butter
Mm-hmm.
or almond butter or something like that. But yeah, I've always like, you know, and then back then, whenever I was doing whey, I would do, you know, the oats with some whey protein, like
Mm-hmm.
just mix that in, maybe toss in some blueberries if I added some fruits. But yeah, it was always something like that.
Yeah. See, for me, it never worked to have something light because, like I said, when I'm even in the off season, if I'm eating clean Monday through Friday and Monday through Saturday, my appetite gets insane. My body processes things very fast, especially when I train. So I can literally eat a meal like that 30 minutes before the workout, and as soon as I touch the weights, I'm hungry. So if I have something like, say, whey and oats an hour before, I am going to, it's not a mental thing. It just empties me out inside. It just never fails. So I always need something with some sort of substance behind it because if I'm not able to train 100, 110% the way I want to train, it's not going to be a good workout. And,
Yeah.
the outcomes would never been the same.
Because I would just always be scared. And maybe this is just me, like that food would digest too slow for me. And then I'd feel like heavy during the workout.
But that's what most people, it would be slow for them. So that's where it goes back to a point was, the experimenting and everybody's not the same as me. It doesn't slow me down. My stomach sucks right in. So I need to have that little bit of food with, extra substance in it to fuel me through the workout. As opposed to most people would need something lighter so they don't get bloated and tired or whatnot in the workout.
Definitely. Because it will play a role. It definitely will. Let's see, man. Seems like there isn't so much left here. Cody, this guy Cody asked, do you think processed carbs are worse than fats? He says, like the medicinal industry brainwashing people to think fats are bad, fats are not bad, processed carbs are what causes it. Yeah, pretty much. I would definitely say that that's probably the case. Ever since the introduction of all these processed foods, man, I do feel like, the health of the people have really declined and people are getting fat as fuck.
So I could be very passionate about this subject because of cancer. As you know, my mom died from cancer. Why is it in the last 10 to 15 years, let's say 10 years, cancer has been on such a spike like never before? Before that, it was like, oh my God, you have cancer? Like, you didn't really hear about it. Now it's like every day I hear somebody that gets it. I know so many people with it. You have babies being born with birth defects, more mental disabilities. Everything plays with heart issues in older men. Men are dying at a younger age. Why is that? In a whole new world of advancements in technology and science, it's the food. Even our natural foods are being tainted with all these chemicals and toxins and whatnot. Aside from the crap that's in the processed foods, aside from physique, visual physique enhancements and how you look on the inside, it destroys you. Like I just said, the cancer and everything. I 100% believe our food is what's killing us. And on top of that, whatever effects you get from those foods, okay, here's a drug for that. Okay, now you need this drug. Now you need this drug. And next thing you know, you're dead. You're being kept alive by drugs from the pharmaceutical industry, which I absolutely hate the pharmaceutical industry, but it's all at the hands of our government. And you were actually one of the people that opened my eyes to this. When everybody was saying, oh, he's going crazy, he's going through a phase. I remember reading, I'm like, nah. And I started experiencing myself. I'm like, it only makes sense. And I actually remember when the first time my mom went through remission, my dad put her on a keto diet. And as a lot of people may or may not know, sugars fuel cancer cells. Like when you go get a PET scan, they'll give you glucose and it'll light up a tumor. So sugar, not fat, is going to be the cause of cancer and all that and whatever other chemicals. So I remember when she was put on a keto diet, she went into remission. It was directly from the keto diet. I can't say, but it definitely played a big part because it was the only time that she ate regimented eating. And she went to the doctor and was all excited and told her what the doctor told her she was in remission, told her what she's doing. And the doctor flips. You can't be doing that. You can't be going on diets, this and that, which is essentially true because many different chemotherapies and whatnot can be affected by certain vitamins, supplements, foods, whatever, but still. And meanwhile, you're going through the hospital room when they're staying in the hospital and they're being fed a prison meal, a carton of milk, dole, fruit in a cup, some shitty sandwich or something like that. And
it's garbage, bro.
It's terrible.
I mean, you'll see they'll give people fucking McDonald's and shit after.
It's horrible. It's horrible. So 100% the processed foods and what's in our foods today is the big issue. It's not fat. It's that. It's the processed foods and sugars. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's because, dude, you try to tell these people, just people in general, man, these certain things, like, I don't know. because we can sit here, and this is where sometimes I just don't even believe half the shit that's being put out there these days. Because, for example, you have like, our life expectancy is rising, right? But dude, like you said, I see this. I see more and more people getting sick. More and more people getting cancer, dying earlier. Like there's no way. Like honestly, there's just no way.
It is
Um,
100% a made up lie by them to cover up what's being put out there in the pharmaceutical industry and in the food. How many 40-year-old men have I known that died? How many 30-year-olds, women, more kids are dying from diseases? Why is
Women
that?
getting breast cancer more often, man.
Oh,
It's
dude.
crazy, dude. But it's like an epidemic, man. And even because I asked my mom, I was like, was cancer really a thing? She was like, man, no one knew what cancer was back because it was just no one had it.
Well,
You
even think
know,
back to when you were a teenager. How often did you hear about it? Not as much as today.
dude, it's crazy, man. It's like super rampant these days, and
Yeah.
I noticed this stuff, man. I noticed it, and saying look at obesity, diabetes, like dude, it's skyrocketing, man. It's insane.
Yeah, no,
It's really really crazy.
it's what they're putting out there, what they're teaching kids these days, and all that, what they're not teaching kids these days. And like I said, you have diabetes, here's a drug. You have type 2 diabetes, here's a drug. Okay, now you're type 1 diabetic, now you need this drug. You have heart disease, okay, here's this drug. You have high blood pressure? No, don't lose weight, don't exercise, don't, correct eating habit. Here's this drug. Now you need this. It's just a never-ending cycle. And I see no end in sight for it because it's just a whole big money machine that's part of the system. Like I said, I get very passionate about this, but 100% with all the lies that are being put out there and what's being put in our mouths and taught to or not taught to kids, it's just that's the result of what's being done.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's crazy, man. But it's so hard to even because it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough for people to be able to see because it's like to me it's right there in our faces. Someone asked, has anyone heard of Cole Robinson from the Steak Night? Yeah, man. That's actually why I did that 72-hour fast.
What
I
is it?
literally snake diet. So check, dude, if you ever get on YouTube, check this out. Just type in snake diet.
Okay.
This guy's this guy's channel is hilarious. Like he just sits there. He starts off every video by saying, "Hey fatty, hey fatty," and then he just like goes off on these fucking tangents. Dude, just goes off, man. Like you might actually like him.
What's
I
it called?
love the dude.
Snake diet?
Snake diet. Yeah, like he cracks me up, dude. But he's fucking smart as shit, man. He's the same way, obviously, minus the drugs and stuff. He likes to basically test his own body and see how you can do things. Dry fasting, bro. No food, no water for like 8 days. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
The most I know of is a water fast, like I did. Or my dad. I remember my dad went a month fast. That was actually the last day of his fast. Was one day after my first show, and he looked like just real skinny. He lost a lot of weight, but he was skinny fat. And then that's when he wanted to start putting on muscle. And that's how his whole cycle in bodybuilding started, whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. No water or anything.
Yeah. So like I said, I did 72-hour water fast and just nothing but I did salt water. And this is where you get the whole snake diet thing because it's salt water. So it's sodium, I believe it's just sodium, potassium.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a combination, but it's good stuff. Dude,
That
it's
makes
fucking.
sense.
And then fasting is also. I don't know if you ever looked into it. Like, you know what autophagy is?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? Okay, you need to look this up. Autophagy. So, like,
Okay.
basically, autophagy is like when the cells essentially eat themselves up, right? And usually,
Okay.
like fasting can help stimulate that. Yeah, but yeah, there's like different methods, man. But yeah,
The cells eat themselves.
right.
You're
You
talking
basically get
about what kind
within
of
the body,
cells?
within the cells within the body.
Well, why would you want them to eat themselves? What's
Like
the logic
old, like
behind it?
just like basically, like for example, how do you break this down, man? It's hard for me to explain right now,
It sounds like
but
something that's not easy to
but
explain because I'm trying to
yeah,
imagine it.
but it's just like that's basically just the basis of it. But
Okay.
I'm gonna text it to you so you can look it up and look into it a little bit.
Yeah,
But
please send it to me.
it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But yeah, man, that's essentially what all this stuff stimulates is more autophagy within the body. But man, we have one more question here, and let me see if I can find it. I think it was about fasting. One last one here. Someone asked, "Are any of the pros using SARMs or trying them or not?" To be honest, man, I don't use them.
So I am anti-SARMs because number one, most of the SARMs that are being used, well, that are supposed to be like, the Ostarine or whatever it is, are usually something else. They're tainted. Let's not forget these powders are coming from China. They're not made in a controlled environment. We don't know what they are. So there's a bunch of crap in it. And two, we really don't know the long-term side effects of these SARMs. Ostarine has been studied for quite a bit. Now it's being used in cancer patients and stuff. But I would not touch SARMs, especially over-the-counter SARMs. I don't like them. I don't know what the long-term side effects are. If you're going to use enhancement drugs, I'm not condoning it, but you're better off using proven steroids that have the research behind it. We know what can possibly happen. So yeah, I'm not with the SARMs, which I actually tried it when it was a supplement store to see what it was like. But no, I am very much so against them.
Yeah, same here. I don't recommend them at all. Never really felt the thought of the benefits of them whatsoever. I really don't see them being enough research for me to ever consider. Yeah,
exactly. You don't know what it's going to do to you in 5 to 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
exactly. But shoot, man, I think that is it for now, man. I don't want to keep you up too late, brother. I know it's getting late out there. We've been on for quite a bit of time. But yeah, if you want to basically just close out, talk about yourself a little bit, and then we'll basically just cut it off.
Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. It was a really good discussion. I'll definitely do it with you again if you want. Thank you to anybody who has tuned in that will watch it. As I just said, we'll definitely do it again. You could contact me on Instagram at IFBB Pro Dominick Cardone. Of course, if you're interested in training, feel free to DM me or email me at cardonenutrition@gmail.com. I'm always open to questions and stuff as well. And that's really it. Till next time, thank you for having me.
Cool. All right, guys. Peace out, everybody.